I've been thinking about making this video for a few months now, and it is time because if you are going through a divorce or even just thinking about a divorce, I want to share with you my story because I made a huge mistake and I am paying for it now, literally and figuratively. So I'm going to share that story with you, and hopefully, if you are going through a divorce, you can avoid this humongous mistake that I made. Welcome to my colorful life after a great divorce. My name's Regan, and on this channel we talk all about divorce, dating, living in New York City, and living your best life after the age of 50. So if that sounds good to you, make sure you give this video a thumbs up and smash that subscribe button because I would really appreciate it. Okay, so let's jump right into it because why wait? The biggest mistake that I made during my divorce was agreeing to go uncontested. But I must say that at the time, it seemed like the right thing to do. We wanted to keep things peaceful. He always said we would always stay friends if, we made the divorce easy. And I guess just not to rock the boat, I agreed. And quite frankly, it would save us a little bit of money not dealing with lawyers. And I guess part of it was true. I guess it was pretty peaceful. There was no screaming at each other, and, we just sat down and, divided up things. And then, we had to go through mediation. And then what they do is after everything's agreed upon, it gets sent to a judge, and the judge just signs off. Easy peasy. No court dates, no lawyers, no nothing. Easy peasy. But here's what they don't tell you. When emotions are high and you're exhausted, you're just not thinking clearly. You're thinking more about ending the pain than protecting your future. And because of this, I definitely gave up things I shouldn't have. I basically just didn't ask enough questions. So, when we decided to go uncontested and we sat down and pretty much, our kids are grown, we just had to go over the finances. And what we agreed upon was I knew I was going to be moving to New York. And so I said he could keep the house. So he kept the house. And then what I got was basically all our investments, which are actually worth a little bit more than the house. So I thought this is a pretty good deal. But here's where it got a little tricky. And this just happened in the last few months. So since I've known my ex, and it's a long time, I've known him since high school, he has always had a job. And he was all about making money. And actually, correction, there was a short period of time during our marriage where he was in between jobs and he took some time off so that he could ski a little bit more. And I was all for it, take a little break before jumping into your next job. But he had a new job lined up. So he's always had a job, and he's in an industry where, people do bounce around. He's in IT sales, and so he's been with some really huge companies. He's also been with startup companies, and it's just really commonplace for them to, move on to bigger and better things. Anyway, so in the state of Utah, I don't know about other states, but they don't call it alimony anymore, but they call it spousal support. And you're entitled to spousal support if you make less. So I was not the breadwinner in the family. He made the money. And also, I did put my career on hold for a little bit as I was raising the kids. I've always worked part-time, but I couldn't really further my career when my kids were young. Although I was, still working and bouncing around, teaching classes and doing a lot of personal training where I went into people's homes. So I did always work. I think I took maybe 6 weeks off right after giving birth, and then I was just back to teaching classes and training. So I did always work, but he was always the breadwinner. And I didn't look into this enough. I knew I was entitled to spousal support. Okay, let me just back up really quick because I know this might ruffle some feathers. And I'm sharing with you guys what I went through, because if I can just help one person out there, then I'm doing a good job. And I want you to be kind in the comments, because believe me, I know there's going to be judgment. Listen, I have judged myself. I have lost sleep over this. I have thought, how could I be so stupid? I have thought all of the thoughts that you might be thinking right now. And I actually didn't even share any of this with any of my friends or my family. Nobody knows that I'm going through this right now. And I think it's because I am not ready for that judgment. And I know that if I mention it to some of my friends, well, one, they'll be bad-mouthing him to their spouses, and I really want to stay out of that territory. But I know they will judge me. I judged me. I get it. This is hard for me to share because I know I made this huge, huge mistake, and I can't really go back from it. All I can do is try to help somebody out there not make this mistake. So I have not shared this with friends or family. I really hope that you guys are kind in the comments, because I have beat myself up so much over this, and I just want to move forward. And I know that if I just keep beating myself up over this, it's just not healthy, and it's not healthy for my future. And so, yeah, just give me a little bit of grace, because I'm sharing this because I want to save someone else out there from making this mistake. Okay, so back to my story. The reason I'm affected now is because just a few months ago, my ex reached out and said that he wasn't going to be paying me my spousal support. Now, the other thing in most states, I think this is in most states, is that you're entitled to spousal support for as long as you were married. So I was married 28 years. And my ex always talked about retiring when he was, close to 59 or 60, not waiting until 65. And I was always fine with that because he has worked really hard his whole life. And so what he was doing was paying me monthly spousal support. So I would get part of whatever his take-home pay was. And, it was very, very helpful, helped pay my rent. And what it allows you to do is keep living the lifestyle that you led before, especially if you were the one who wasn't making as much money, and it definitely halted your career a little bit or in some way. So yeah, so I was getting spousal support, alimony, as many of you might know it as. And again, I know probably just that term ruffles some feathers, but I really did fight tooth and nail to keep this marriage together. And so anyway, he lets me know, he texted me and just said, is there a time today or tomorrow where we can chat? I said, sure. So we got on the phone together and he told me that he didn't have his job anymore. And so he wouldn't be able to pay the spousal support. And, like I said, that amount of money was pretty much paying my rent. And so, yeah, it was a huge step back for me financially. And had we not gone uncontested, or I don't want to say that uncontested is always a bad way to go. However, I would always suggest that you hire a lawyer just to be able to look through the documents and see where there are possible holes. Now, the big hole for me was I was getting spousal support until he was turning 59 and a half. Now, there was nothing in there about if he lost a job or quit a job. So nothing regarding that. So no fine print. And this is where a lawyer probably would have said, we need to get this on paper, that if he loses a job, he still needs to be paying you, this amount of money. And I trusted him. I actually thought about that in my head, but I also thought, this is a man that has always had a job since I've known him, and that just won't happen. Well, it did happen, and now I really am paying the price, literally and figuratively. And I do remember I was visiting in New York. It was, I was still with my ex, but I went to lunch with an old friend who lives here, and I was telling her my situation and how we were probably going to get divorced, but that, we were just going to go uncontested. And I do remember her saying, don't do that. You need to protect yourself. Even if it seems like you're going to save a bunch of money in the long run, it probably won't save you money. So don't do that. But, after mentioning it to her and her reaction, I didn't tell other people that we were going uncontested because I didn't want to have to explain myself and say, oh no, I trust him. And, obviously that trust has gone out the window. I'm finding out the hard way. And here's what I can do. What I would suggest is always, if you are able to go uncontested, great, but do the smart thing, have a lawyer look over all the documents and read between all the lines and just get a second opinion. Because now it's too late. All I can do is, throw my hands up and be like, well, shit, I effed up. And I don't want to do that anymore because I know that that's what happened. So, I'm going to look at this as some sort of positive thing. It's going to force me to, just keep working hard. And, now my goal is for me to make that amount of money that he was paying me monthly on my own, because I know I can do it. It's going to take a lot of hard work, but I am up for this challenge. So of course, in retrospect, I don't look at it as me being mature for avoiding conflict. It was more me just being passive. So if I could go back, I wouldn't necessarily fight it out in court. But like I said, I definitely would hire a lawyer to look over all the documents. I would have asked more questions, and I would have stood up for myself more. And most of all, I would have reminded myself that it is okay to want to protect your future. And being nice shouldn't mean giving up what's fair. Now, when I got the message from him a few months ago, right away, I reached out to my mediator and I explained the situation, knowing that, really nothing could be done. The divorce was over, finalized, the judge put his stamp of approval on it, and there was no changing it. But I really loved our mediator. She was so great. And what she did say is, it wouldn't be a bad idea to hire a lawyer and then maybe try to prove that he's not working so that he doesn't have to pay spousal support. But in the end, I feel like it would just, how do they prove that? Because I did talk to a lawyer friend of mine, and it would be almost impossible to prove that he wasn't working to avoid paying spousal support. And months ago, I would have said, no way, he would never do something like that. But now I guess I just wouldn't put it past him. I mean, he's probably enjoying his free time, and I don't know what he's doing with his free time, but I'm not sure he's looking hard to find another job. And I never did ask him if he was laid off or if he quit. But I must admit, I'm kind of curious about that. So all I can say is if you're going through a divorce and you're considering going uncontested, just pause. Talk to someone, get advice, and don't rush it just because you want it to be over. If you've been through something similar and you want to share your story, please go ahead and do so in the comments. And remember, you are not alone. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really, really appreciate it. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, smash that subscribe button. And I love you guys. I can't wait to talk to you next time. I will see you in the next video. Bye. There's my sweet girl. She's so sleepy. Oh, and I didn't forget, I still have more vacation videos to get to you, but I just wanted to throw this one in because this is something kind of serious that I've been dealing with, and I really wanted to share it with you guys. And yeah, thanks again for being here. I love you. Bye. And you guys, here's my cute outfit. I know this was the outfit that I wore getting on the yacht. It's a gorgeous day in New York City, so I thought, you know what? I probably won't have that many more opportunities to wear this summer. So, I mean, it's fall now, but yeah, it's like 80 degrees out there. It's gorgeous. So I'm wearing this again and trying to get a lot of use out of all my clothes. Okay, I will see you next time. Bye.